You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
That guy always sounds like he's actually excited. Hey, here's the way. Oh, the mic's on. We already started the show. You already started the show? Really? Oh. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. No, I'm teasing. Happy Friday. Freaky Friday. Welcome. Today is the 10th day of August, 2018. Hope you're having a great Friday. Been working for the weekend, and, well, here it is. If you're returning, welcome back. If you are here for the first time, a very special welcome to you. We are certainly glad to have you with us. Thanks for joining. And you know, we've been at this for a while now. CFRN began April of 2005. So, yeah, you can do the math. It's been a while. Pencil us in for the next decade, all right? We're working on our second decade, and, well, we'd sure love to have you here for the next one. I have a chart up of the S&P 500 E-mini. No, actually, today I have a different chart. I have the soybean daily chart up because we just got the WASDE. Now, the WASDE is to the agricultural markets what the Fed announcement is to everything else. You know, that's the big economic, the Fed. Whatever the Fed says, the market's going to rally or plummet. And got hit pretty hard on the WASD for the agricultural. Now, this is a soybean daily chart, but the WASD covers all agricultural products that are traded here in the markets: wheat, meal, corn, the list goes on. The only one we typically look at on a regular basis is soybeans. Now, to give you an idea of what this represents, from the most recent swing high on the daily chart to the most recent swing low, we've had a leg and a retracement, 38% Fibonacci retracement, and now we appear to be putting in that next leg to the downside. Flip it all around, and from the most recent swing low to the most recent swing high, we are at a 50% Fibonacci retracement. Hold for me 1 second, please. Yeah, typically I don't invite you to a radio show and then put you on hold right away. I usually wait till later on in the program to do that, but we'll get it out of the way now. Okay, if you can't see the chart I'm talking about, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. Within 30 seconds you'll be registered all the way through the end of the month. One-click access every single day. I suggest that you also go to youtube.com/CFRN/live. Bookmark that page. We dual stream on YouTube every day. If something should happen with the GoTo software, you can just flip right over to YouTube, and there we are. All right. Okay. So that's the soybean. That's really the big thing happening out there today. This has been from 1050, yeah, call it 850, almost $8. It's $2, which is also 200 points at $50 a point. I'm gonna guess that's about 10 grand. I don't know, sounds right. Yep, it's still 10 grand. Now, this is a daily chart, so you'd have been in this thing from, you know, May 29th or whatever you got in. You know, we got a quadruple top up here, and just then all you had to do was just manage the trade. Now think about that. Think about being in a trade from May 29th to July 13th. Sleepless nights, worrying, pacing the floor, not sure, calling all your knowledgeable trading buddies, maybe even calling the Department of Agriculture, seeing if you can get a hint or a tip as to, you know, what's on the horizon. Okay, that's one way. There's another way, and that way is this way, and I'll show it to you real quick. Okay, better blow it up a little bit so you can see it better. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Wherever you might have gotten into this move, oh, I don't know, perhaps at the bearish cross, perhaps as these lows were taken out, but let's just say you found yourself an entry, perhaps on a smaller time frame, and you are short. The black line here, this step line, it's on the south side of the CFMA1, which is red and falling. Whenever you are in a short trade, the CFMA1 will be red and falling. If you're in a long trade, it'll be blue and climbing. If they're not, you should probably reevaluate the position that you're in. So as price comes down, there's no reason to be concerned or to worry, because you're in a short trade, and as long as you're on the south side of this red line, the CFMA1, no worries. The first exit signal that printed on the chart is this green candle right here. Okay. The second exit signal was right here. Now in this exit signal, price walks sideways, and then we're in a short trade, red, think red, and we get a bullish candle closing on the north face of the CFMA1 and above the step line. See, just barely above, but it closed above, signal to exit. The following day, look what happens. Get this sell-off here. The following day, we potentially might have considered a re-entry, but price itself is now on the backside of the CFMA1. So we would not, so this second exit signal, we wouldn't really pay much attention because we would have left the building. Oh, if you got in, you know, maybe below the lows, you didn't get the best of entries, late to the party, 983 down to 983 to 920, call it 60 points times $50 per point, $3 grand. Oh. Per contract. Per contract. Not that dramatic in reality. At $50 a point, just like the S&P, 10 points, $500 per contract traded. Now, the question is, where do we go from here? Was this the last WAS day? No. Where was the last WAS day? The 12th. Seems like I remember the last one not being so eventful. Wow. That was almost always come on the 12th. And there's the 12th. It doesn't look quite right. It might have been in a different contract at that point. Maybe that's why it's showing up like that. All right, enough of that. I've welcomed you. I've told you how to see the charts. I've given you lots of very important information there. Let me give you a bit of news, and then we'll go to Michael and get a recap of what happened in the live training room today. Had an open house. It was good. Ledger, the popular hardware wallet, has added support for third-party applications developed for 8 new digital assets to its Ledger Nano S device. From now on, the company will announce new additions on the first Tuesday of each month in order to streamline app validation. Starting this week, the Ledger Live application for Ledger Nano S offers the following new coins: POA, ICON, VChain, WANChain, Ontology, Koala, Particle, and RSK. Sounds like risk to me. The company announced, this was put out in a tweet earlier, Ledger developers have also provided a link to their roadmap for planned releases and other useful details published on Trello. In a blog post, the team behind Ledger notes that the validation process for third-party apps will be simplified with clear guidelines, giving developers more comprehensive guidance on security, good practice, device applications, interface, experience, and design requirements. The new applications will be available for installation on Ledger devices through Ledger Live. However, the coins won't be directly compatible with the native app, and initially customers will have to use a compatible third-party wallet to perform transactions. Ledger Live will gradually incorporate a full support for third-party applications to enable Ledger users to not only install but also transact with these new crypto assets directly from Ledger Live. Very good. Thanks to a newly announced partnership with Lithuania-based payments provider, Mr. Tango, European crypto exchange EXMO, that's EXMO, will offer its users the opportunity to make instant deposits and withdrawals in euro. Traders will also be able to make single euro payment area transfers, which translates into faster payments. The Mr. Tango payment account will allow EXMO users to fund their crypto-related activities using fiat currency. The account comes with an IBAN number, offering the ability to instantly transfer money via SEPA and a prepaid MasterCard as well. According to a press release, the Lithuanian company already works with more than 100 cryptocurrency exchanges and intends to expand further into the crypto space. Crypto wallet provider Citowise is now offering users the option to buy cryptocurrencies with Visa, MasterCard, and American Express debit or credit cards. The newly integrated function in its Android app currently supports purchases of Bitcoin Core, BTC, and Ethereum, ETH, with plans to add other cryptos in the future, including Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ripple, and Neo. The team promises the functionality will also be available on your iPhone soon. In order to buy cryptocurrencies with your bank card, you'll need to pass a KYC and AML verification. KYC, know your customer. Now, the verification is actually performed by a third party. That's a really good idea. Citowise's partner company, Transcoin, will do the verification. The purchasing limits for this option are set at 32,000 euro per month. Total can be spread over a maximum of 4 credit or debit cards. The company notes the app of the Tallinn-based startup also supports purchases of cryptocurrencies with SEPA payments. In this case, the monthly limit is 200,000 euro and the daily is 40,000. Well, there you have it, a little bit of news. Let's take a look at the markets around the world. These are the cash markets. We'll talk futures here in just a bit. In the U.S., the Dow is currently down 173 points. NASDAQ is down 31. S&P 500 is down 15. And the Russell 2000 has turned positive, up 2.5 points. In the commodity basket, crude oil gained 83 cents today. It's a little over 1% or 1.25%, trading 67.64 last. Gold is down 40 cents, trading 12.1950 last. In the Asian markets, at the close for the week, the Nikkei was down 300 points on the day. That's 1.25%. Shanghai was positive by a point, and the Hang Seng lost 240 points, almost 1%, in the final session of the week. Last but not least, in Europe, at the close, the FTSE was down 74 points, roughly 1%. The DAX lost 251 points today. That's 2%. And the CAC was down 87 points. That's 1.5%. So that gives us a mixed market in Asia by 1 point. The Shanghai added 1 point by the close. That 1 point is the only thing that makes Asia's markets mixed. Otherwise, they would be every bit as red as the European markets. and every bit as red as the U.S. markets, with the exception of the Russell. And there's the Russell right there, trying to make its way back up to that weekly zone at 1701/1702. Now, I have updated the weekly trading zones on this chart. I'm always telling you, you know, if you're not a partner, if you don't get the weekly trading zones Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern, before Wall Street wakes up, it's not a bad idea to make note of these numbers, jot them down, because Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, these numbers, they will come into play, and you see that every week here on the show, because I don't put the current week zones typically out for the general community at large until Thursday. But these are this week's zones. If we roll back here just a spot to the beginning of the week, it's the Globex Open Sunday night. We ran right into a weekly zone there, came back to the zone. Now that's 6 and 8. Yeah, that's an 8 points down, 8 points back up, 8 points down, 8 points back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 32 S&P points. Zone to zone to zone to zone to zone. And then what do? We go zone to zone. We did not pull back and retrace this time. We moved on up, and then we consolidated just above the zone. Typically we see the consolidation inside of the zone or on top of the zone. This one was just a little bit above. And then we make a run at the next zone overhead. Don't quite make it. Pull back, consolidate, another attempt with a lower high, another attempt, and that brings us into what we've seen today so far, and our zone down at 2835/36. That managed to catch the low in the sell-off today on the S&P, and on the Dow we overshot it just a little bit. The zone was 25,295/300, and when you've got a zone and then the market's kind enough to print you a doji, that's a relatively good indication that price is going to at least attempt to move higher. And so from 300 to 370, well, that's a 70-point move at $5 per point in the Dow. If you're in that trade, the market made $350 per contract available. But we'll get into all this, all the minutia and all that other jazz. But Michael first will come and give us a recap of what happened in the live training room today. And I'm going to guess that you're standing by, ready to roll.
I am.
He is.
I'm here.
You got his skates on. He's ready to roll. Oh, what was that? What was that roller skate song?
That was a roller skate song.
Yeah, I ride my roller skate. Oh man, it'll. I got to get this roller skate song. You a roller skater?
No.
Oh, come on. You know you love.
I tried it about 6 years ago. And when I was a kid, I used to go every now and then. But I tried it about 6 years ago. Took my kids roller skating the first time.
I can do the roller skating, but that ice skating stuff, that's...
Yeah. Well, they both hurt when you hit the floor.
Yeah.
Liberal sanctuary cities ban police from working with federal immigration enforcement.
I can't pipe this through, because boy would I.
Boy, would you.
Yeah, but you'll be able to hear it, I think, when I hold my headphones up the way you do.
Okay.
It was sung by Melanie.
I rode my bicycle past your window last night. I roller skated to your door at
I couldn't make it. it out. I got a dog howling in my background here too. I said oh, okay. Yeah, I couldn't make it out. I'm sorry.
Oh, Michael.
I couldn't hear it.
Ride my roller skates.
Let me see.
Yeah, the folks in the audience, they sure love that song. They're very happy about it. Okay, D. I'll take care of Daniel's question while you do your duty.
Okay.
And I gotta move your chart up so the folks on the tube can see it. Okay, there we go. And mute on my end, and it's all yours.
All right. Now we'll hit it. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, the 10th day of August, 2018. Today in our... Oh, first, wait a minute. We had an open house today. I want to say thank you for everyone who came to the open house. Hope it was an interesting morning for you. I tried to slow things down and answer questions from the very basic level. And yes, that is a howling dog in my background. Okay. Daniel, nobody can see what you type except me and Dwayne. Okay. All right. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage here at CFRN.net, and right over here where it says apply.cfrn.net, click on that, or scroll down to where it says free 5-day trial, or use a proprietary indicators free. Any one of those will eventually get you to this page right here. On this page, all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. And you hit that submit button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, when you click on the confirmation link, that is when we get a notification that you took the trial. Okay? Okay. Now, today we had a green day, but if we'd have stopped after we got our goal for the day, we would have been better off, because we had, well, I'll get into it here. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 10th day of August, 2018. Today, we made 9 ticks on the euro. Yesterday, we made 5 on crude. Today, we made 9 on the euro. But today, it took 4 minutes and 2 trades to get to $100 a contract. At that point, if we'd have stopped trading, we'd have been good on the day. But we had to continue. Excuse me, I have to go for the full 2 hours. And I missed a couple of trades that would have easily gotten us back up above that level. But we took a total of 10 trade opportunities this morning. So out of the 10 trade opportunities, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 positive gains, 1 stop out, and 5 break evens. On the month now, we're at 882.50. That's over 7 days, averaging 126 per day. On the year, we're at 21,981. That's over 145 days, averaging 151 per day. Okay. Okay. Now, we'll get into what we did or didn't do. On gold, we missed this long right here, which would have gotten us our goal for the day. And we had a break even right in here. I don't know why I didn't go for this right in here, because that would have given something. But we had a break even right there. Then, let's see, during the break, there was a nice leg down here where we had a couple of trade opportunities. And one more right there, and that would have finished it off for the day. The euro, let's see, we had our first trade of the morning was right here on the euro. We picked up 8 ticks on that. Okay, then we missed this nice one right here, and that one. We got 1 more tick here, put us at +9 on the euro. Oops, nope, we got a break even there. We missed that leg down. We got 1 right here to put us at +9. And we missed that short and that short. And then during the break, let's see. Once it broke down below this level here, we could have shorted right in there. And then it changed directions and it had a nice bounce off the BBC right here. Okay, and a momentum long trade right there. All right, and that was the euro this morning. We ended with +9 on the euro. Gold, we ended break even. And crude oil, let's see. Here we go. Right here on crude is where we started out the morning. We picked up 5 ticks there. Okay, then we had a break even right in there. Then we stopped out here. I put us at -3. We had a break even here. Then we had a +3 there to put us back to 0 on crude. And we missed that momentum short. And since then, it was a bounce off the BBC right here that would have gone to break even right up here. So you might have gotten a little bit out of it, but not much. On the leg down, there was a short right here. Stop would have gone to break even after 4 ticks profit in the trade, and it's done nothing since then. Okay, so we ended break even on the crude this morning. The ES started out really choppy, and it finally gave us a little bit of an opportunity right here. Once we had 4 ticks profit in the trade, we bumped our stop to break even, and that was it. Yeah, we couldn't short down into the zone here. Then it just got stuffed in the zone. It came back to the zone, then back to the zone, then back to the zone, then back to the zone. There was one opportunity here toward the end of the session that I missed. That would have at least been a break even, possibly more. And then during the break, looks like a bounce off the BBC here that would have given up something. Turned around, came back down. This is too close to the zone to trade it, so we wouldn't have done anything with that. Okay. Okay, so back to the spreadsheet. Again, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Yeah, today, the 10th day of August, 2018, we made 9 ticks in the euro. That's $56.25. Today, it took us 4 minutes and 2 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 10 trade opportunities. So, on the month now, we're at 882.50. That's over 7 days, averaging 126 per day. On the year, at 21,981. That's over 145 days, averaging 151 per day. 151 per day. Okay. And if you have not taken a free trial with us, just go to the home page here at CFRN.net. You can click right here, apply.cfrn.net, or scroll down here where it says free 5-day trial. You can click on that. Use our proprietary indicators. You can click on that. Any one of those will get you to this page. Where all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit the submit button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link to get the free trial. Okay? All right. And that's it, guys. That is it. That is all we have for this morning. And for the week, that's going to wrap up the week for us. Okay, with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready. Oh, it says stand by, but that wasn't to me. All right. Well, Dwayne is not ready because I still have the charts. So, yeah, the WASD came out today. I don't think I have a soybean chart up. ZSX, right? I can just make one. Okay, so it came out at noon. Now, when that report comes out, you really don't want to be in the market because you can get a lot of slippage. And it must have came out with a larger than expected pile because prices dropped. Though that's not always the way that it works. But see if there were some trade opportunities in there. There were some entry spots in there, especially in this leg right here. Some really nice entry spots in that one. and gold gave a really nice leg down here. All right, and I see John is out in the audience. So if Dwayne doesn't come back, I'll just open up John's mic, and then he and I can start talking. Okay, I'm going to do that.
Did you call me? No.
I did, yeah.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry. I had to step away for a moment.
Okay. I was just saying John's out in the audience, and I could just open up his mic. But you have to take it back to Studio A in fabulous Phoenix, Arizona first.
Let me grab the charts. Does my volume sound a little louder today?
It sounds good. It sounds nice and crisp.
Well, yeah, but there's something to do with this this broadcasting thing that I have to use, and
it sounds louder now than it did this morning.
Well, that didn't work the way I thought it would. Let's try it again. Yes. Oh boy. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm having an issue.
I see that you don't have charts up right now.
Yeah, I should now.
There you go. Now you have them.
It was
You
just
did
a
have
little-
them up.
Just a little hitch in the giddy up. So anyway, what happens is when the audio, not you, not John, but because I'm where the broadcasting software resides, after much, they gave me a fix that should. It's a common issue, and everybody else knew it already, I guess, but me. So hopefully on the YouTube recordings, my volume will now be commensurate with whoever I'm talking to. All right, John, welcome to the show. If you're there,
I could open up his mic. I haven't opened
okay.
it.
Sorry, mic's not open.
Do it. Okay, now it's open.
So, Michael, the recap of the recap. I know we reached the goal early. What, about 4 minutes?
Yeah, 4 minutes. 2 trades, 4 minutes.
And then we spent
$100
the rest.
contract.
We spent the rest of the live training room teaching everyone what happens if, when you reach your goal for the day, you do not take the money and put the mouse away. Right?
That's right.
Is that what
That
we
is
had?
correct.
Was that what we had scheduled for today? Teach them that.
That's what we planned. Yep.
Okay,
Yep, that was exactly what we planned. All right, and John's out there now too.
Hey, John, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Welcome
Hi.
to the show.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks for the invite. I don't know. I was just going to say something after what you were talking about there. I missed it now. Yeah, well, maybe we can start off with the crops because Michael mentioned it a minute ago. You know, the tariffs may not have that much. I mean, I think tariffs obviously had some impact in knocking the grains down, but it looks like after today's WASD report, they were doomed to go lower and possibly a lot lower because we're sort of breaking down to new lows now in the meal, which is a very bad sign. And the fact of the matter is the U.S. farmers are doing such a fantastic job getting more yield per acre. I think they're getting record yields of all time acreage these days, in spite of soil erosion and all the other things going on. They're just doing too good a job, and the world at large is producing more grains, more food than ever before, and the price is going down as a result. And also the dollar, as we talked about yesterday, you know, the dollar looked like it was going to break out to the upside, and it has done that with a vengeance today. The Turkish, you know, to put these sanctions on Turkey, the lira is absolutely, you know, it's in a free fall, just like Venezuela. And apparently the economy is doing quite well in Turkey in spite of it all, probably because the currency being weaker is, good for their exports, etc., and they can't buy so many foreign goods. So it is kind of a a healing process at some point. But it's and as we've seen, the stock market, there was a big trader, a big whale keeping the stock market in Turkey up. It's not a whale. It's the fact of the matter is, if the lira goes down, stocks go up. Just like we saw, the market in Venezuela has gone up 1,000,000% this year.
Yeah,
so,
I was just getting ready to bring it. I'll tell you this thing about Venezuela in a minute. Go ahead and finish.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is we've commented a number of times about this China situation with the FXI and the yen and the Chinese composite and all that, and it's really starting to look very bad for China. And I think the emerging markets are plunging today all over the world, and they finally are dragging the U.S. market down with it. I don't know what the deal was yesterday that provoked this late sell-off. Remember we said, when we looked at that sideways thing, there were two ways of looking at it. Number one, you could have said it's a consolidation. We might get a spike down first, if you remember. I said that before we go higher. But on the other hand, we've had sort of 3 days where if you look at the daily S&P, especially the SPY, I think, you'll see that it kind of put in a little triple top here in the last couple of days. And the other thing is the S&P, when it gets up against the previous high, is the S&P's made several very major double tops over the last few years that have been the death knell of the market, and we are potentially coming up against a double top of monumental proportions that are really quite troubling. I mean, you had this huge double top from 2000, right? From 99, 2000. Actually, that was a double top, very similar in the making of what's going on right now. If you look at when that top happened, it happened in January, and then we had that pop up, later on in the year, in spite of the fact that the Nasdaq had already turned down. And that was, the beginning of a pretty big correction that took us from 155 down to 80, to 70, 77 or something like that. And then we made a major double top at 155 again on the SPY, and before we plunged, 57% or more in 2009. And it took us quite a few years before we actually took that out and got to where we are today. But I have to tell you, you really have to be very, very careful right here with this double top developing on the SPY. And the way we've had two, when the market starts selling off we just have not seen this market sell off in the last hour or the last few minutes. We saw it sell off in the last 15 minutes or so on Wednesday, and then yesterday, it was looking pretty good, and then all of a sudden it went to jelly, like a half an hour before the close, or maybe 40 or 50 minutes before the close, and we just decided to sell everything right there and then. We went short the whole thing across the board and went long the VIXs pretty much at the lows of the day, frankly, which I'm quite pleased about, because it's very hard to catch that VIX at the bottom. And in effect, I just realized this just now, we potentially have we have a sort of a double bottom on the VIX, but the VIX wasn't able to get down to the 2550 of January. We got to 28, and I think we bought it at 28.05 yesterday. Oh no, I think we would buy out at 28 actually yesterday, and we were at 20, and we're at 30 today. So we got a 2-point move out of the VIX already, and this is creating a very substantial weekly reversal in the making, and a pretty big daily reversal. Yesterday was a classic key reversal, even though we had a pretty big downturn from 32.5 down to 28. We made enough of a reversal yesterday, and as you probably did overnight, got triggered into this on the short side, as your system does fairly reliably, and was able to capture a good part of this move. No, it's not. Listen, it's not one of the really major moves that we've had down overnight. And the Dow is, with the Dow, I think it was a good return overnight. I'm pretty sure you got into that pretty early, and the S&P being down 16 points or so is not nothing to sneeze at either. Neither is the Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq's starting to break down now. And the fact that we've just been unable to rally here this morning much, which is a very bad sign for the market going into the end of the week, and it's already starting to break down right now. So I mean, if we're not short already, you probably should be short right now. This is starting to feel to me, it's not going to give up the highs too easily, which is sort of like the way we've been going this morning. And by the way, we sold Amazon literally $5 or $10 off the high yesterday, which I'm very proud of. I mentioned it on the show, that it was looking, that it was over 1900. I think we put a stop right under it. And, we remarked about how bad Facebook was looking, and Twitter's up a little bit today, but the semiconductors are in. When the semiconductors get hit at this point in the cycle, it really is time to. It's beginning to be time to run for the hills, and the semiconductors are in dire straits today. They're down a lot, and AMD. In a way, the semiconductors potentially. Which made a new high in March, by the way, which is kind of a divergent top. Look, it's not the end of the world, but we could putting in a double head and shoulders kind of thing on the semis if we were to break down significantly. We don't know whether this is going to be a short-term pullback and we go higher again, or whether it's going to be something more profound or pronounced. But there's definitely, stocks like Maxim that were looking pretty good have turned quite a bit lower here since yesterday. AMD, which was very strong, it's off a little bit. It's actually up a little bit today. Intel was down sharply yesterday, and it's quite a bit off its highs actually. Intel definitely looks like it's in trouble. Microsoft, has actually it's one of the stronger stocks. Still just a fraction of its all-time high. So a couple of performers that I mentioned, TD yesterday. It came out with earnings last night. It opened, it was about 112. Then it opened up around 115 this morning. It went up to 130. We sold it at 130, and the last time I looked at it was 126. Our old friend Overstock got a very big investment in its blockchain thing, and exploded higher after the close.
I got to get back on the show. It's been so many years since I've even spoke to him.
And the other one that went well is Roku, is looking pretty good too. I think got up to about 60 today.
Roku had some news out today. I don't know if you saw
just
that.
a little bit over 60. A little bit over 60 right now.
Did you see Roku news today?
I didn't know. What did they say?
Let me just read it. That way I'll get it right. Ooh. Roku stock raises to record high. Yeah, but I wanted to. here's what they did is they've made a lot of their content. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and click on this and see if it mentions it. Here's why Roku will surpass $100 in 2 years. They got 22 million subscribers. They now rival Comcast as the second largest
who in 2 years? Who are they going to pass in 2 years?
Comcast.
Oh, okay.
Roku is the second largest distributor of content in the U.S. behind Comcast. 80% of time viewing is spent on catalog programming versus costly original programming. Roku's ad-supported business model fights highly fragmented subscription fatigue. Boy, that's a lot of fancy words. Now, I know what I'll do. I'll just go, because I'm sure they're touting it on their homepage. Oh, I wanted to show you this. This is about Venezuela, just real quick. This is Planet Money. You ever listen to this podcast?
No.
It's one of the very few that I subscribe to. That I listen to quite a few on a regular basis, but this is. And right now, you know what the exchange rate? Not the published government exchange rate, but the real in-the-street exchange rate in Venezuela. How many bolivar do you think it takes to buy $1 US?
That's about 1 million or 2 or 3, something like that.
Yeah, 3. There's a guy that started a website called AirTM. I haven't been there. I just heard about it on the podcast as I was falling asleep last night. AirTM. They had shot it down for a while. Okay, this is so that people in Venezuela and anyone in the world that wants to exchange currency from, it's like the bolivar to the US dollar, they have made it. You really need to listen to the podcast. He went down and recruited some people, and they were doing really well. I mean, business was good. What they were doing before this guy came to town with his sack full of US dollars and actually they do it through his website, I guess, but they have boots on the ground too. They were buying sugar because the value of the bolivar is deteriorating so rapidly that it's stupid to even hold on to the money. So as soon as they get their hands on bolivar, they were buying sacks of sugar.
Yeah, it's like the Weimar Republic, you know.
Yeah.
And if you know the story, when people went to dinner, they paid for the dinner in advance, because by the time they finished eating, the price had gone up by 50%.
The government there is very anti somebody, coming to town with the U.S. dollars. They don't want this to happen, and the reason is that government published rate is 150,000 bolivar to the US dollar. You with me? 150,000. So government officials, the in crowd, people who know somebody, these higher up, already wealthy, I'm assuming, people, they're able to actually buy US dollars for 150,000 bolivar. But the people in the street end up paying the real rate, which is currently, as of last night, it was about 3 million. Now the government, when somebody comes to town and attempts to upset this apple cart that they've created for themselves, well, gee, they lock you up. They put you behind bars. And so this guy, the people he hired to help him run this enterprise in Venezuela, the cops got after him, and he had to smuggle them out of the country. And he's got them holed up in a house in Colombia, in a safe house. And they're doing business out of Colombia. The website's back up. This is the first time I looked at it. They had taken it down until they got all the people safely out of the country. But listen to the podcast. They'll explain it far better than I did. And it's real interesting. This young man behind this, he's 27. We should invite him to come on the show and talk to him about all that he's doing. He's like a pretty smart guy. So Roku at the home page. Now you can watch free movies, news, and more on the web. All right, that was the news they had today. It used to be that you had to have the Roku device to view any of the Roku content that they had aggregated. Now you can, through a web browser, and it's not going to, see, this is not that important to me, but I'm sure there's a lot of people in the world that this This is like really big news. Award winners, cult classics, live news, no subscriptions, no fees, and you can now watch it on the web. Now playing for free. You got the Matrix. I mean, they've got a lot of content. Now, I don't have the plug-in like that. I have the first generation, old school, little hockey puck, and I've often questioned, should I upgrade? And I can't, no one's ever been able to give me, and I've never been able to find a reason why upgrading, because I think ours cost $40, and then they've got like an $80 model, and there's a $120 model. I don't know what they provide.
4K, you should go to the 4K. 4K, yeah, that's where it's going for.
I don't have 4K on the TV.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, you know, you do learn a lot on this, listening to this show every day, I hope.
I hope so too, yeah.
We all do. You know, that when you mentioned about this Opera browser yesterday with the built-in VPN, I actually downloaded it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I downloaded it this morning for a couple of machines, and I got to tell you, I mean, listen, it's the smoothest download I've ever seen. They really seem to have their act together, and
they really do.
It feels very light, the browser. In other words, very easy to move around the machine, and it's very, and you know, the problem with VPN is it kind of slows the performance. So I did some tests, and
yes, the VPN will always slow you down a bit.
that's what I was looking for. And you know, if you look, it says if you Google Opera with built-in VPN, there is a download to get that right now, and it doesn't appear to impact the speed at all. As a matter of fact, the Bing has a speed test, and it's a little bit different from the other one, you know, the speed test, but the speed test by Roku. But that Bing speed test, you might want to try it out on your machine right now. Just go Bing speed test. Google Bing speed test.
Okay.
Because it's actually it seems to be a pretty accurate, a very sensitive test, because you know, I've noticed that when your web is not, when your internet is not running very fast, this thing accentuates it. You know, it might actually underperform. And what I noticed about it in the last few days is it's actually
Bing speed test, right?
Yeah. You okay?
Speed test Bing. Now.
That's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
It might go off. It might go off the needle, but
right,
it actually counts.
Right over here, guys. For anybody that's, because it took me a minute to figure out, and now I haven't done it in a while. I'm building a browser, and they encourage this. I'm building a browser on top of the Opera platform, just for the partners and other traders with us. Is
this the browser you've been promising us for a long time?
Yes, I've been working on it, and working on it, and then they roll out some new stuff, and so I have to take that into consideration.
Okay.
I'm looking for the VPN.
Well, listen, one of the neat things. Oh, by the way, I tested. Look, I have a few websites around the world that are very good tests. One is the Times in London, which obviously is 5,000 miles away. And the Age in Australia is 12,000 miles away, and the Sydney Morning Herald, smh.com.au, and on this Opera, it comes up. I mean, immediately. It's so fast. It's unbelievable. See, there you go. You see that? See the way it goes straight up to that 150. That's very good. Now, and when that needle goes straight up, you know you've got a very strong web signal. If you can do the speedtest.net to see how it compares.
Let's see, what do we got for numbers? We got 154, 154, and 20. Okay. So speedtest.net. Now this is with the VPN turned on.
Yeah, it'll come. Don't worry, it's coming.
That's 171
No, that's bad.
milliseconds. That's
See
very
that
bad.
ping? There's something wrong there. You see what I mean about the difference,
Yeah,
Dwayne?
that ping it's not.
Yeah.
We need to just need to refresh this page. And all right.
Now, if you go to Google, the Chrome, and see what it works like on Chrome, you might get maybe there's a bit of a hang up there with the VPN, but obviously it's not affecting the Bing speed test, you know?
No, it's you're right. It's not. Look at that. Another.
There's something plugging your thing there for sure.
Not as it should be right there.
Okay.
So now
try putting in. Stay on the
test. Or let me try the Bing over here. I don't know why I bothered typing when I can just say it. So this is Firefox that we're on right now.
Wow, that's even better.
Well, again, the VPN's not on.
Okay.
In this browser. See, I'm supposed to have 20, a steady 20 on the upload. So we ended up with 188 and 19. So we beat both of the other numbers because we had 154 and 20. Oh no, we didn't beat the upload.
See what it looks like on the speed test on this browser.
All right.
I think I got an equal test this morning on the.
Now this doesn't look good. It's difficulty connecting.
That's weird.
But yet here it says it's a 15-second.
Oh no, there's your Bing. There's your 15 ping. That's pretty good. No, look at that. Bang. It just takes a while on this one, but that's pretty hot. Look at that. Look at the difference. Jesus Christ, that's amazing.
Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna look. I might as well look at Chrome as well. Hmm. 12 milliseconds.
Sure, that's good. That's good.
And
yeah, that's pretty good.
might be a little bit faster.
Yeah. Can you go back to the Opera for a minute?
Yeah, let me see what Bing has to say about this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the fact that this one is just clutter-free and.
Yeah, look at that! Wow. That Firefox is really fast, huh?
Yeah, you know, now the Opera browser that we're going to go back to here. Now that upload is not correct. I'm going to have to call somebody, I guess.
That's Chrome. Is that Chrome right now?
This is Chrome that we're on right now. And I'm going to go back to.
So maybe the built-in VPN does have a little bit of a governor on it.
Yeah. Now the thing with Opera, which I've used off and on over the years, it has a lot of quirky things about it, things it'll do that other ones won't do.
Press the plus, right?
The plus where?
Up at the top, a new window.
Oh, up here.
To the right.
Oh, you just want to tap. Okay, I got you. Yeah. Got you. For instance, if you wanted to
see, they got these. I like this idea where you
right.
frequently visited sites are kind of.
You can also change them. You can.
Yeah.
It can reflect what you've been doing, or you can specifically order what you want, and that's part of what the browser that I'm putting together. will do is...
Yeah, it'd be kind of neat if you put in a lot of different financial sites so you can just flip around, and that would be very...
one of the odd things that this does, well, it's odd, but and I don't know how many people would need it, but if, let's say you have a web page that you need to be refreshed every 60 seconds, or it's some kind of web page that doesn't automatically update the data. It could be a financial site, I suppose. You can tell Opera, I want you to refresh this page every 30 seconds. And it
That's a great idea. That's a really good idea.
Until the cows come home, until you turn it off, it'll just keep refreshing that page.
That's a fantastic idea.
Right here, you can tie into Messenger, Facebook Messenger. That's built right in. And then here, WhatsApp, phone calls, and video conference calls around the world, absolutely free.
Wow.
And when you need a screenshot, I just took one. I can save it or not save it. Did you see where I did that? Right here, the little camera. Just boom. And then you can get all the screen or part of the screen and capture.
You really know your way around it.
This here is your speed dial. This is what they call this, the speed dial. In your favorites, bookmarks.
What's your, show me the speed dial. What's that about?
That's this page here. It's just like in your phone. Like if you go to Amazon a lot, then you speed dial it. You don't have to type or go to bookmark. Just boom.
What's the four things above the heart? What's that?
That is the speed dial.
Oh, okay.
And then you've got your personal news. So you can set it up to pull in news that you're interested in.
Yeah.
You can add, in other words, these are what comes stock, but let's say I wanted seeking alpha.com as one of my news sources. Then I can choose all articles. I guess that's the only one they offer. So you just gotta plus it.
It's great. That's great.
And you can take any of these that you're not interested in. You can take them out. Now, I thought for sure that you could filter by individual keywords too.
Yeah.
That may be
click on that BBC. See how fast that comes up.
I clicked. Oh, see, because I'm in. Hang on, I need to go back. Okay, it won't come up there because that's just where you pick the. Pick the pages.
Put in.
Put in what?
Just a second.
I know what I'll put in. Emini Trading System.com. Oh, it didn't play the sound file. That must be turned off somewhere. Now, this, I was going to say this was imported from my Chrome browser, but it's not. It was not. Okay, so over here, under menu. Now, this is a free browser. You can download it right now. New tab, new window, new private window, page, full screen, print, save as PDF. Of course, you can zoom in and out. You can find anything on a page, take a snapshot, your history, your downloads, folder, your extensions. What I found is that most Chrome extensions will work with Opera. And you can, this is where I've been working, update, recovery, about Opera. This is build 54.0. Alright, you there, John? Oh, John. Oh, I forgot to check. Oh, you're looking up here in the window. You see how when I went to the site, it's got VPN. That lets you know the VPN is on. EminiTradingSystem.com. VPN is on, virtual private network. If you don't know what that is, when I went to Paris, there were a number of US websites for some reason I couldn't log into. I didn't know it was a thing, but it's a thing. If I had had a VPN, I would have been able to log in. People in Australia who want to watch American Netflix, they use a VPN because it makes it appear as though they're in the US. And you could do it vice versa. If you were logging into something from the US to Australia, you could make it appear that you're optimal location, virtual locations. So you can pick if you want to be coming in from Europe, from the Americas, from Asia. So I just changed my IP address. Turn it off, turn it on, and you have unlimited VPN data. That's built into the browser. If this doesn't move it up in the rankings, I mean, this is such a small sliver of the browsing population that uses Opera, but it is good. It's not what you're used to. Is it better? Is it worse? Well, and it could be that I'm just a creature of habit, but as familiar as I am with Opera, you can see that I still use Chrome. Okay, is that because Chrome's better, or because I'm just a creature of habit? Also known as old and stuck in my ways. I don't know if you guys saw me put this up. If this continues to drop, and we should find a bottom somewhere. Where are we at? 50% retracement. This is a daily chart. If we make it to 850, consider being short to 840. That's 10 points in soybeans, which is the same as the S&P, $50 a point. So that's $500 per contract, per trade, and it covers an area about big, yeah, 850 to 840. So that little square, $500 per contract. If you go from the top to the bottom. Back to the S&P. I guess John will be back here shortly. We already looked at, I don't know if we looked at these zones going back. Yeah, we looked at these zones already. And last night on the Concierge Trade Alert, we said to consider selling 28.42. We triggered once. Now the first time we triggered, it dropped to 39. So that's 3 S&P points. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. Price gets back above the trigger, and we drop from 42 down to 36.75. So call it 37. So that's 5 S&P points. Then we get back above the trigger, and down we go again. And this time we drop 10 points, and then we get back above the trigger, and down we go again. And so far we've made it to the zone, 35.36. And so that's a 6-point S&P move. So what did we have? We had 2. The low here was, the low again here was 37. So we had 3, 5, 10, and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this could have been, a partner might have just said, you know what, I'm going to sell 42, and all this back and forth didn't really phase them because their target was here, 35.36. And when price hits a zone like that and gives you a doji, it's a pretty good indication it's going to at least try to rally back up to the zone overhead. It was real easy to, or simple to see right here as price fell on the Dow weekly trading zone, 295/300. caught it. Now the market overshot it a little bit. There was a lot of momentum in the move. No big deal. It gives us a doji. It's like, hey, pay attention. And then we rally. And we missed that by just a few. The high was 67. So we missed it by 3 ticks. Hit a leg. And a retracement. Very shallow retracement. The shallow nature of that retracement means this thing might be just about done. The Concierge Trade Alert email that went out last night, consider being short 25445. If you traded it with a target to the zone below, and you've just like, you know, that's it. I'm going to trade it to the target. I'm done. $350 per contract available. If you stayed with it, if you were not taken out on a pullback, it fell $940 per contract. Now, how many people got out with $940 profit? I'm going to guess no one, because getting out at the exact swing low, it's not an art, it's not a science, it's a fallacy. It's stories that people tell. The only way to get out at the exact swing high or swing low is dumb luck. And you don't want to rely on dumb luck as any kind of a tool in your trading. All right. On the Russell, we said to consider selling 1683, and we dropped to, we had 1.9, so we were 1 tick shy at 2 points. And then here, the low was 80.5, so 2.5 points. And on the long side, 1694 took us up to 98.5, so it's actually 4.5. Crude, I hadn't had a chance to mark up. We got a question here. TJ, let me see what your question is, and I'll see if I got an answer for you. Are you talking about Opera Neon? No. Well, I don't know. Maybe there is a version of the Opera browser, TJ. Yeah, you can download it. Absolutely. The Neon part, I wasn't familiar that they had a model called Neon. Should you deinstall the old browser before you install the new one? No, actually, you just when you get into the installation process, I think, I don't know, it'll either prompt you or it will just automatically import all of your bookmarks and that kind of stuff. So all your settings, and the fact that certain websites recognize you when you come driving up in that browser. So all that stuff will transfer over. So you don't have to uninstall. Alright, we were going to look at, here, let me put this up here so you can get a screenshot for whoever wants one. Now, in your Opera browser, you'd be able to go click and done. Okay, you got it? All right. Okay, so on Crude, last night's email said to consider buying 67.55. Yes, we did miss a good part of this, but not really, and I'll show you the not really in a minute. What was it? 67.55. Okay, we went from 67.55 up to a swing high of 87. $55 to 87. Okay, so that's $330 per contract available. Per contract available. and also consider selling 66.15 if the opportunity presents. And that swing low. Swing low. 66.14. Oh, yeah, you gotta love that. Now we see this happen, and I've talked to you about it. When I publish a number, that's the number. Okay, I mean, some people wait for a close below, or some movement below. Different people have different ways of handling that. But often, not often, okay, maybe it happens once every other day out of 8 markets and 2 trade ideas per market. So out of 16 trading opportunities, if I'm saying it happens once every 2 days, that's about 1 out of 32. Maybe it's a little higher than that. The point is, the low was 14, 66.14. So if you were set to sell on a stop at 66.15, it traded through 1 tick. Now, for me personally, you know, even though that happened, I can take solace in, did I locate the important price, important area? Yeah, well, I was close, you know. Horseshoes and hand grenades, right? There's an equal number of times, if not, I would say, probably 1.5 times as often, or twice as often, it'll march right down and it'll stop a tick before the trigger. And there are times when it hits the trigger to the tick. And so I think we talked about this yesterday. You have to make a decision which way you want to, how you want to roll. Now, this morning, okay, how about this morning? Okay. Consider buying crude at $67.60 to $68 if the opportunity presents. $67.60. Now, a question that I've had, if you've watched the video, you heard the question asked. So this came out live this morning as the market was unfolding. And again, the tweet said to consider being long at, is that right? 67.60 to 68. All right. The difference between the concierge is you get all of your alerts at one time. There's 2 opportunities per market, 8 markets, 16 opportunities. They come to you around 9 p.m. Eastern via email. The Logic 247 works differently in that you get alerts as they develop in the marketplace. Okay, and I'll show you an example of that. Well, I just showed you one on the crude. Still saving up for that new mouse. Last night, gold, we said to consider being long 12.17 to 12.20. The S&P, we said to consider selling 28.48 to 28.45. It's a 3-point S&P move, and it, well, as we know, it got there. On the NQ, consider buying 74.72 to 74.82 to 74.92. Now, I made some notes here somewhere. Okay, ES reached target. Dow reached the 3rd target. Oh, where was that Dow at? Did you look at that? Consider selling the Dow 440 down to 420, down to 370 if the opportunity presents. And so that one reached its third and final target. And when I put this little mini recap here, now this was nothing official last night. This was just me working at my desk and seeing the opportunity. When I see opportunity like that, it's hard not to share it, just to be honest with you. So I did, and that's why those came out last night. Now the Logic 247 starts officially Sunday night, 6 p.m. Globex Open. So if you have any questions,
yeah, you see, remember we said yesterday on the oil that it might turn up.
Here we go. Here's crude, right here. There we go. Here's crude.
Dwayne, did you hear that? Hello?
Yeah, John?
Yeah, I was saying about the oil yesterday. We said, wait and see, but it did actually rallied. It kind of, the way it was sort of acting yesterday, kind of undulating, was a possible hint that it might rally, and it did for whatever reason. Did you have a reason why it went up or not?
No, not any kind of a news event, and not anything technical other than it didn't make it down to the zone. The zone below it was 65. The lowest zone for the week was 65.75/80. The fact that it stopped, sometimes that happens,
Yeah. Tesla put out a bit of a sell this morning at 356, and that's when we sold it. It's breaking down now. It's not by sorry, 359 this morning. It's breaking down below 355 again. There's just seeing a news flash here. Fox Business Network learns Tesla board not aware of financing at the time of the tweet. So maybe this guy was winging it when he came out with this thing, which could be a problem,
Okay, tell me that again now. What happened?
Well, he said he had the financing was secured when he made this tweet about the 420 buyout. Mm-hmm. I mean, I got to tell you, if he doesn't have this deal together, he could be in a world of hurt. He could be in a lot of trouble, because he put some tweets out and said, "Don't worry, you're not going to lose with Tesla," and stuff like that. That's pretty dangerous, putting that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, before he came out and said, "I think our stock's currently overpriced."
Yeah.
That's a real turnabout. Did you look at these bonds?
Yeah.
I mean, we're up.
Yeah,
well, we're only up about a couple $1,000s per contract over the last 2 days.
The thing about Tesla is, these people who say, "Oh, I'm going to stick with the stock at 420," only a madman would do that, because this is a classic. This company is by some measures on the verge of bankruptcy. I mean, it's technically verging on insolvent in terms of, if it runs out of money and nobody, the problem is they're going to get funding, but if they didn't get funding, it would be pretty, they're burning through between $8 and $13 million a day. There's a lot of things could change. If the oil price went back down, the demand for electric cars might dry up, and all kinds of things could happen to them. So and there's a lot more competition from different, people are coming out with better looking cars today and better performing cars. Look at that Aston Martin that we showed you not so long ago. So this, and it's a little bit, somebody wrote in an article I saw this morning, you remember these big buyouts. This is the biggest buyout of all time, right at the top of a biggest bull market of all time. The last time that happened was AOL and Time Warner, and they went down about 90% after that deal was done.
Yeah, that was a mega merger.
Exactly. So it's people who say, "Oh, I'm going to stay with Tesla forever." They need their head examined.
Here's Tesla on a daily chart. Tesla on a daily. I mean, let me take it out to a week.
I mean, if that deal fell apart, if that deal falls apart, that stock could get absolutely murdered. So.
How long have they been public? 2011 looks like. So there's a monthly, and there's since the beginning of the company.
Yeah.
If
he gets taken over at 420, kudos to him. That's a brilliant move. But the
it was Mr. Wonderful that said he thought that the idea of taking Tesla private was absolutely brilliant. And if you don't know who Mr. Wonderful is, it's Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank.
Yeah, well, it's listen, it's brilliant if you get out. I think that's it could do better. It could do better as a private company. I mean, look, it's definitely got a future, but there's a lot of things that could go wrong, and we're living in an extremely innovative world these days where when you got BMW and the Mercedes and Aston Martin, General Motors, or the Japanese, listen, the fuel cell is a big potential. Somebody's come up with another kind of a hydrogen hybrid type of car that has a longer range and is easier. It's easier to store the energy. There's a lot of things that are around the corner. So I mean, maybe they'll introduce a flying car. That would add a lot of sizzle to Tesla.
How is he doing with this company Boring, B-O-R-I-N-G, where
he's doing okay. I mean, he's doing pretty well with it.
Are they progressing a quarter mile a day or 100 yards a day?
I don't know, but they're doing okay. By the way, if you could go back to Opera for a second.
Sure. Boring progress. The Boring Company. Elon shares. Oh, that's. You got some kind of 3D thing going here. Oh, roads must go 3D with Boring Company. I just wanted to see. I'm sure they have, like, we need to go 500 yards a day, or I mean, they literally are they're digging a tunnel, right? That's what they're doing. Am I correct? The Boring Company? Elon Musk? John?
Yep.
Yeah. That is what they're doing, right? I'm back on the Opera browser.
Oh, okay. I just missed you for a second here. Okay. Yeah. Could you put in just put in the times in there in the search to see how quickly it comes up?
You talking about the New York Times?
Yeah. No, just the times.
This is with VPN on. Yep. VPN on. Keep in mind, I have an awful lot of stuff running, but.
Oh, does it have a switch?
Yeah.
Is that VPN?
Yeah,
is that a kind of
a
one?
Yeah, right here. You just right up here. See where it says VPN?
Yeah.
Click it, and it will tell you that it's on, and you can switch it off just like that.
Can you adjust the virtual location that you're in?
Yeah, I was just showing that while you were gone. You can go from the Americas, Asia, Europe.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it tells you what IP address.
Try putting in. That came up pretty quick. Try putting in the age.
Let's see how quick it comes up without. Well, the page is already loaded now.
Okay.
So it's going to load. If I turn it off and reload it, it's kind of preloaded. You know what I'm saying? So that's not a good test. Well,
try putting in the age. Put THE.
DH what?
THE age.
THE age. AGE.
Yeah, age. Yeah.
.com?
Just click it. Just the age, and hit return. Theage.com AU is the thing.
Okay.
So it comes up with
the age. And clicking on the Google
link,
there it is. And that's with the VPN on.
That's fast. Look at that. That's fast, man.
That was
came through
real
fast.
Yeah. It's a good browser. And I was talking to those in the audience while you were gone about, I've said all these good things about the Opera browser. Why is it then, if I like it so much, that it's not my go-to everyday browser as opposed to Chrome? If it has more features, if it can be as fast or even almost as fast, but it has all these other features, and all Chrome extensions most of them will work in Opera, then why is this not my go-to browser? I've been thinking about it since I said that. I said earlier because I'm just old and stuck in my ways, and change is difficult. Okay, but I remember now there were a couple of instances where Opera simply would not do there was something I was trying to do, and it couldn't do it, and I had to go back to Chrome, and went back to Chrome, and then actually I went back to Facebook, not Facebook, but Firefox, and then I stayed with Firefox until one of their builds just did not work for me, and so then I went to Chrome, and I've just been with Chrome ever since. Now, there's a lot of, let me bring up Chrome. Everybody should know this, and it's not something that, well, I don't think you've heard anybody talking about it, but if you go in your Chrome browser, in the address bar, you type in, what is it, colon, // or maybe it's just slashes. Yeah, just go / flags, enter. Maybe you do need a colon. Oh, it's right there, flags. It should bring up my settings page. Now, how did I do that last night? I did it last night the way the man said. Sure, it wasn't this way. Wow. Flag address in Chrome. Okay, it is colon / flags. Okay, colon / flags. But this is just ridiculous. I'm gonna. Last night it just did it. First time I tried. I mean, there's another way to get there, but I wanted to take you there. Boy, that should just work. Chrome flags setting. Because I even went downstairs and did it on my. Yes, that's exactly what I meant. Okay, you simply need to put Chrome. I don't remember typing Chrome last night, but we might argue it was late. Maybe I did. Okay, so experiments. Warning, experimental features ahead. By enabling these features, you could lose browser data or compromise your security or privacy. Enabled features apply to all users of this browser. Interested in cool new Chrome features? Try our beta channel. And there are a number of different things that you can do. You know, read them. You know, make sure you understand what they are. Some of them, they're like, well, why would anybody want to do that? Enable draw conclusion. You know, partial swap. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And the reason I was going here is I found out that the reason my soundbite on the Emini Trading System site wasn't playing in Chrome, because Google came out with a new autoplay policy, and so I had to go to flags, autoplay policy, and the default was user gesture is required for cross-origin iframes. and I changed it to no user gesture is required. And when I did that, all of a sudden it just worked. And then you got the beta channel, which is here. Try out new features with Chrome Beta. So any of you that are feeling adventurous, you can preview upcoming features before they are released. So you can download Chrome Beta. Does it talk about what's new and what's different this time around? Maybe you just gotta go there. Alright, so let's get back to the task at hand. What else do we need to cover? Soybeans on the WASD, of course, we know they sold off. It's a daily chart, and it looks like we're going lower. I mean, I'm sure you can just eyeball this real quick. And have you looked at it? The soybean, John, have you looked at this?
Sorry, hold on. What looked up?
Just a soybean chart. Something. I'm just saying this is a daily chart.
Well, yeah, just give me 1 second. I just got to do something here. All right.
Go ahead. Take your time. Okay, guys, we've been through the S&P. So, all right, now we're dropping again here. So this third one is also given up 10 points. Okay, we halted at the zone, got back above the trigger. A little bit of support, not a lot. This thing's falling away. So if you're wondering what the zone is below 28.29, or I'm sorry, 35.36. Oh, could it be 28.29? Yeah, it could be. That is the next zone on the way down. So that appears to be where the market wants to go. 28.
Yeah, it's breaking down. It's really looking bad now. Further to what I was saying earlier on about getting short. It's just really, this is going to be a bad day. I tell you, this is. I think the Dow is going to be down 300 or 400 points before the close, maybe more.
28.29. Yep, that's where we're headed. Now, somebody's probably wondering, well, what's below that? Well,
interestingly, the metals are picking up a little bit here. You know, the gold hasn't gone negative actually. It's kind of still positive here. The silver's down a bit, but the gold might be starting to go contra to the markets. Might be ready. The palladium's acting well today. That's kind of an interesting departure.
Right. If we get through the 28.29, guys, then look at 17.18. Okay, and is that the lowest weekly zone? Actually, the lowest weekly zone's all the way at 27.93/94. I don't suppose that's going to happen today. I think we'd hit a curve before that happened. Oh, and I made a note here for you guys real quick. The other day we had a Concierge Trade Alert to consider being short 28.52. That did not trigger. Okay. Now, I wrote price action above the trigger does not change the opportunity below. You know, with a real minor exception. Nothing. See, we didn't trigger 28.52. And so the information used to come up with this alert, there's nothing that the market can do. Backflips up here, you know, swing from the rafters for as long as it wants to. This part down here, this stuff up here does not change this down here, okay? Because there's your line in the sand. So am I saying that a day later, 2 days later, if it's not been violated, if it's not been triggered, if it's not been touched, is it the same? It is, but there's one minor exception. Let's say you had price roll right up to 28.51. No, I'm sorry, 53. Triggers 52. Price comes down to 53, maybe even 53.5. Doesn't touch it. Goes the other way for 2-3 days. Well, when it comes back, you've got a new swing low in place. And so in those instances, I would take this 28.52 and probably make it 28.51 or 28.50. Depends. And the reason for that, I think, is Well, I went into detail the other day. I don't trust a new high or a new low of a tick or a couple ticks. I don't even like just 1 point. Okay, 4 ticks in the S&P, 10 ticks in some other markets. So often I will adjust that. If it's been an extended period of time, or let's say we rallied way up and we're coming down hard, I'm going to move it. I'm going to change this 52 to 50, but the whole concept and everything else of the trade. Now your targets, okay, those aren't affected. Those will remain the same. So anybody that needs that explained in more detail, just book a mentoring session. And do keep in mind, Logic 247 official launch. I mean, the beta is complete. Everybody's, had an opportunity to come to the webinars. Everybody's had a chance to go into the channel and then inspect all 113 alerts and the charts and the recaps and everything else. So 6 p.m. Sunday night, this Sunday night, Globex Open. Train leaves the station. All aboard. All right, John, what do we want to look at now?
No, listen, that's been a good, great show. Thanks very much, Dwayne.
Just check and see if there's any questions for you in the chat box before you go. Oh, you asked earlier about the news issue behind crude. Don said it had to do with Turkey.
With where?
Turkey. Letting Turkey into the EU.
Oh, Turkey. Oh, okay.
Was a real Turkey. Someone else had said, but Don says that it was a Turkish issue. That, you asked me earlier if I had some reason why crude moved up. I said no, and Don told us.
Yeah, I mean, the emerging markets, the effort to try and get some upside traction in the China market has been. Each rally seems to have been sold off, and today it's looking pretty grim, frankly. Whether you couldn't really put your finger on what caused this sell-off late in the afternoon, whether it could have been Trump tweeting about Mueller or something. Just something caused this market to sell off yesterday afternoon, and it's now getting worse. And even the mighty Amazon is succumbing quite a bit to, look, you have a possible, maybe. Yeah, what's troubling about what happened is if you look at the S&P, the SPY, we want to look at a kind of a triple. It's actually a triple top, breaking down already. Amazon is a little spiky top. Google, something similar, double top. Very, very, very dangerous. Google, go and look at what happened in March. We ran up to 1170 in March. The top today is not unlike that top. We dropped down $200 from there. The other similar top, we dropped about $100. So this is a pretty serious looking deal going on here, and we've got divergence among the fangs as well. You had Amazon was the last man standing.
Look at this Dow.
Google made a lower high. We know Netflix is already breaking down, like we said yesterday. That it's got a dangerous looking structure, because if it breaks down further from here, when Netflix came out with that lower than expected number of subscriptions, which was pretty phenomenal. It rallied $40 or $50 off the open, but it's never been able to get higher than that day, and now it went to a lower low, rallied a bit off this lower low, and now it's rolling over again. And then Facebook is, even worse, a diabolically bad situation for Facebook. Losing 120 billion in one day is a real wake-up call for this market, and so it potentially gets worse from here now, and this could feed on itself. Oh, Apple is the other one. Again, we possibly made a kind of a double top here in the last couple of days with Apple, so you're seeing very real divergence among these leading issues. That is really a problem. This is the stuff that tops are made of. So it's a time to be extremely careful.
Yeah, I agree with you. Do you see the this Dow chart that I have up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we had, you see how we pulled right up to the zone up here?
Yeah.
And
wow.
at that gravestone doji, and then
yeah.
went back. Now we didn't rip through it because we had this candle. So guys out there, if the opportunity presents itself, consider 25,220 down to 25,150. That's a 70-point move, $5 a point, $350 per contract traded. Now, at this time yesterday, 1330, the Dow in the 30 minutes beginning at 1330 yesterday, 2,192 contracts. Today's 130. Well, we're not done with it, but it's already at 6,000. So in this 30-minute period that we're in right now, and there's 4 minutes left, we've already done 3 times. Yeah, 3 times.
Yeah. Well, you know, these grains selling off, I mean, there's kind of a disinflationary type of, you know, one thing I will say today is, which is notable, you know, we're basically up, you know, almost a full point on the dollar over the last few days. And the gold has actually been unchanged for the last 3 days, more or less around this 1220 area. That's actually a kind of a positive for the metals. Normally, what often happens is when you start seeing if gold and the dollar start moving up together here in the next few days, if the dollar continues to rally and gold rallies along with the dollar, I would embrace that vigorously, because it usually it means that you're getting ready for a reversal in the dollar, and when that happens, the gold tends to accelerate to the upside. So anytime you see gold and the dollar going up together, or at least gold holding its own against the dollar, that's a pretty good sign that we may be getting near a turning point.
Okay, I just ran some Fibonacci price extensions on. You need to get that. Go ahead, and we'll talk to you later if you need to grab it.
Go ahead.
All right. So on the Fibonacci price extensions, if we get a 38% extension of this last leg, we're looking at, you know, just testing the low. But keep in mind, especially if you take advantage of this little window of opportunity, 850 to 840. Okay, that's 10 points, $500 per contract traded. But for those of you that are watching this and trading it now, keep in mind soybeans are going to close not too far out. This could not trigger, if it does trigger, until Sunday night. Will this still be valid on Globex Sunday night? If we don't gap over, yes it will. And I would trail a stop and get real tight as you approach this low. Keeping this in mind, if you get taken out, you could always get back in, because if we do take out the low and hold it on a pullback, then there's a very good possibility that we make it down to 780, down into that area. So fundamentally, what's putting pressure on the beans is just overplanting, tariffs, both. All right, John, thanks so much. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you next week. All righty. And I'm going to take care of your mic for you so we can wrap this thing up. And I'll answer any other questions that are in the box before we wrap it up. There it is. Okay. Take care, John. All right. All right, so that's muted, and we can, if you're on the DT Pro platform, that extension right there. Okay. From the swing high to the swing low to the swing high. And that's just pure math. It's nothing else. Okay, that's all it is. So, you know, take what you can use, leave what you can't. Okay, S&P we've covered. Oh, here's what I was going to say this additionally. I was going to say we should get a bounce at the zone 28.29. How much of a bounce? Well, that remains to be seen. If you were to place a long trade here, thinking, okay, price has a tendency to go from where? Zone to zone to zone to zone, and then the next zone. So is it going to pull all the way back up to the zone? It might. That's a counter trend trade. Counter trend. Okay? So you don't have the wind at your back. How did that go? You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit in the wind. Some people, that's all they do, is fade the trade or counter trend trade. Whereas we tend to, with everything we do, we're more of trend followers than counter trend. Do people make money trading counter trend? I'm sure they do. Have I never taken a counter trend trade? I have. But as we're teaching and explaining, you know, is this opportunity? Yes. Is it contrary to the trend? Yes. If this is going to continue lower, would it be healthy for it to have a pullback? Yeah. I mean, 28.33 up to 35. I'd probably better 32 to 34. But see, that's 2 points. Okay, so I'm going to put on a trade. It's counter trend. Bottom can drop out of this thing even more at any point. Do I really now? If it were just a 2-point trade, but it was in the direction of the trend, yeah, I'm all for that. Does everybody understand the difference? If you don't, say so, and I'll try to explain it a different way. Now, when you get a sideways move like this, the thing we talked about earlier about, you know, finding your exit signals using the indicator set. When you have a more directional move like we looked at, I think it was on Crude or whatever it was we looked at it on. Can you see the difference? Okay. Can it still be beneficial? Absolutely. And in a mentoring session, just book one and I'll be happy to go over the fine details. So what have we dropped now from 42 to 32? Well, that would be 20. So I guess we're at 23. So that's $1,000 per contract. $1,000 per contract available. Now, at available, I know I've talked about it again. Let me just, sometimes I say per contract traded, and sometimes per contract available. If, as you saw in the beta test, if it says, you know, consider selling 28.35 to 28.30. Okay. All right, that's 5 points. If price, in fact, goes from 28.35 to 28.30, that, and you exit, you don't trail, you just exit, okay, then that's $250 per contract traded. When the A comes in instead of the T, it's because the market has made $1,000 per contract available. There was no specific target here. You were just, you know, to trail to the best of your ability. The market made $1,000 per contract available. What you took out of the trade, and that's all that really matters, what you took out of the trade has to do with where you had your stop loss. Were you trailing? Did you get taken out prematurely here? Did you re-enter? A lot of different factors. So just important to understand. That's what the market made available. Again, if you have an entry and a target, and it goes from the entry to the target, then you can say per contract traded. It may just seem like semantics, but you'll see the relevance at some point, I think. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 triggers off the 2842. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. Let's see. Now, yeah. You know, how many points are we down in the Dow right now? 264. This would put us down 340 on the day if this were to take place. If it doesn't take place today, would that still be valid come Globex Open Sunday night? It would. If price pulled all the way back up to the zone, this would still be valid, but before it was ever triggered, price pulled back to test for good resistance. It found it, and now it's starting to build that next leg to the downside. I won't cancel this, but I might perhaps say something like consider selling 25. Well, first the alert would say we have a we have a current open alert number so and so. You can just scroll up and you'll be able to look at it. Because of the retracement, we have a opportunity, and so we're going to consider, I want you to consider selling 25,270 down to 25,240. Okay, that's 70 points, $350 per contract traded. And then I'll probably go on to say in the alert, now as you approach that target, if you are in a momentum move, consider tightening and or trailing as far as you can. I really want everyone to get comfortable with, I've got an entry, I've got a target, the market is continuing in my direction. See, we spend a lot of time and treasure trying to get into a profitable trade. We worked hard to get into it, so if there's an opportunity to maximize it, now this is with the bigger picture discretionary trading. I don't want to confuse that issue with what you learn in the live training room every day with the rules-based method. Okay, they're both trading in the same markets. What you learn in one you can apply in the other to a degree. Okay? What I just said about this I would not say about the rules-based method that we trade. Okay, so especially if you're new in the live training room, in the mentoring program, I really like to see you use a hard target until you get consistently profitable, until you have enough days in a row, 10, which is the green light for you to go from simulator to trading one contract. That's how you make that move. When you have that kind of consistency, now, do I want to go live and remove my target all at the same time? No. Going live will keep your mind plenty busy. Okay, so just one thing at a time. That's also why we never add more than one contract at a time. We teach you to follow the calendar and get comfortable at each level. when you go live with the one contract, continue to use the hard target for a while. Once you get over that initial shock, and if you have to go, and if the first couple days just seem real strange, go back, let me know, number one, and then number one, get back in sim. Do not bleed out on the trading floor, and get a hold of me, and we'll have a session, and we'll try to figure out, what's going on. It could just be a case of, the jitters, stage fright. It happens to everybody, so don't feel bad. And that walk from live back to sim, that's not a sign of failure. That's not a walk of shame. That's a smart business decision. You realize, that engine just doesn't sound right. Let's put it up on the lift and have a look, or whatever mechanic people say. I don't know. I can't fix cars, but you get what I'm talking about. And then you regain your confidence, and you go back live. And if 2 days later, 2 hours later, or 2 weeks later, you hit a rough spot, you know the drill. Go to sim, get a hold of me, we'll have a session, we'll try to figure out what's going on. Regain your confidence, step back out right where you left off. Somewhere between the first contract and adding your second contract, which comes when you've increased your account balance by $2,000. So initially it's 10 days in a row meeting our criteria. That should give you confidence in going live with one contract, and then increase your account balance by $2,000 before you add your second contract. And then that's when you go on the calendar-based method in the 2420 blueprint. Somewhere between going live and that second contract, or maybe you even wait for the second contract. I mean, let's face it, you're going to do what you want to do anyway. Doesn't matter what we say, but we feel better when we say it. Because when you remove that hard target in the live training room each day, you'll see Michael working without a hard target. He attempts to trail everything. When you're new and you're just, learning all this stuff, the technical stuff's hitting you, you're trying to ignore the fundamental stuff. You're learning the mechanics of whatever DOM or platform you're using, and you're still trying to figure out how to draw a doggone trend line. Just don't let yourself get buried with too much stuff. If you start to feel overwhelmed, that's a reason to have a mentoring session right there. Okay, what's going on? Man, I'm overwhelmed. Okay, get a pen, piece of paper. Now, what is the most overwhelming thing? And we're going to make a list. Once we have our list of things that are things that are coming together to make you feel overwhelmed, we're going to attack those one by one. I'll let you know, in my opinion, if that's an important thing or not. Often someone new will look at all this stuff whirling around. They turn on CNBC and, oh my goodness, there's just so much stuff. And so you just feel lost. That's normal. Doesn't mean you're broken in any kind of way. I will point out to you, or I'm going to attempt to teach you only what you need to know in order to become consistent at reaching your goal for the day, which is $100 per contract per day. Once you become consistent doing that, we're not going to now double your work, but you will double your pay when you add that second contract. Instead of 100 a day, now you're at 200 a day. No, you don't need to get 4 points. You still only need to get 2 points in the S&P, or 10 ticks in crude, or 10 ticks in gold. Why $100? What's magic about that? Nothing. It's just a round number. Okay? And it is realistic. It's probably the most important thing about $100 per contract per day is it's realistic. That's 8 ticks in the S&P, 2 points, or 1 point in crude, $10 ticks in gold. 20 points in the Dow at $5 a point. And that's gross, not net. $100 per contract per day, gross. Follow the blueprint. Okay, John said counter trend trading is a sure way to lose all your money. Yeah, well, Don, I mean, some people, you know, there are some experienced traders who actually do trade news. We don't. Some people just see that counter trend so clearly. To them, it's all, that's their trend. Jones says, and the hard target in the room is for what? I'm sorry, I don't understand. Okay, Joe. All that means is yeah. Okay. If you have a trade setup, it tells you to get long at 28.21. Your hard target is going to be at 28.23. This on the S&P. Okay. You're going to use a bracketed order. When you get triggered in to the trade, we buy and sell on a stop. I know that's confusing, but that's the terminology they chose way before I came along. We buy and sell on a stop. That means we put our entry out in front of where current market price is, either above it or below it, whether we're taking a long or a short trade. And so price movement is what triggers us in, and the second we're triggered in, the platform places our stop loss automatically, and if you've given it the proper instructions, it will place your hard target instantly. No more mouse clicks, nothing else to worry about or do. All you have to do is figure out the price you're going to enter at, and the chart tells you the exact price to enter. Whether you're in Brooklyn or Bangladesh, if you're trading with CFRN in the live training room, if you're in the mentoring program and you're using our indicators, then your entry price is going to be the same as everybody else's entry price. Now you might miss yours, you might misfigure it, but it's the same. Now the reason to have that hard target, price can run up and run down real quick. And so if you're new and price runs up to give you a couple points on the day, which is your goal, while you're, fumbling to get a hold of the mouse, it could also run back down those same 2 points. By having that hard target in place, it takes you out once you've reached your goal. That's all. It's real basic. Does that make sense? You get in. That's not the one I wanted. You get in. You're up here. There's your entry. There's your target. And here's price. Now this is already in already in place. Actually, this part isn't yet. So price comes along, candle, candle, and then price, as it pushes up through there, that triggers you in, you're long. The millisecond that happens, once you're live in the market, the platform places your target 2 points, and it also places your stop loss 2 points. And when price hits your target, it's going to take you out. You're flat. Got your goal for the day. The reason for having new people to use a target, like I just said, while you're fumbling for the mouse, if you didn't have this hard target here to automatically take you out, price could run up pretty as you please, and you're reaching for the mouse and price does this. And you're like, oh, but I really did have my goal for the day. No, until you're flat. It's, you know, bird in the hand. You got it now, right? Okay. Joan, you are you talking about the buy market, sell market button? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. If you always get a tick of slippage at every entry, call Bert, have him take a look. Something's amiss. For you to never get filled at your buy limit or stop limit price, if you always get a tick of slippage, something's amiss. And I'll work with you on a mentoring session, but I'm just saying you could call Bert right now and say, hey Bert, Dwayne asked me to call you, and he'll help you figure it out. Maybe you guys could even do a simulated trade together while he's watching your desktop or something, and that'll help him troubleshoot it quickly. Okay, we covered all the markets. The Dow. We covered the overnight tweets and stuff I put on the Google Plus page. They just look like such good opportunities. I just didn't seem right not to share them with somebody. Boy, those bonds are really rocking. What did we have on bonds last night? I didn't look at that. Bonds, consider being long. 143.20. So 143.20 is right here. 143. That's 20. 143.20. At 144.20, that would be 32 ticks or 1 point. When you get to 144.20, yes, that's $1,000 per contract. Now that's, again, that's what the market's making available. From the entry to that line, it's $1,000 per contract available. If you entered here and stayed in all the way up. Now there's a pretty sizable pullback right here. So if you're trailing your stop, this might have taken you out. Let me just show you one more thing, then we'll go to the good word for the day, and then we go. And there we go. Okay. You're in this long, you get an exit signal right there. Okay. That's your exit signal. That green candle. I'm sorry, the red candle. You're in a long trade. When you get a red candle on the back side of the CFMA1, it closes, a red candle closing below the step line. Exit. So you go, well, that was nice. You know, 31.25 per tick, 31.75 per tick. No, not bad at all. Price pulls back. You get an up close. And you're thinking to yourself, this really looks like it wants to keep moving. Can you re-enter? You can always re-enter. Where you're going to re-enter what criteria you're going to use for your reentry. Can be any number of things. And when you're ready, I'll work with you on that in a mentoring session. Oh, thanks, Joan. You're very welcome. And you're also very kind. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other... If you ask a question I did not answer, please copy and paste it into the bottom so that I see it. And please talk to Bert about that. And I'm sure you guys will figure out what's going on. Why you're always getting a tick of slippage. We've been talking about fear for the last few days. What we can do about it. Today is number 4. As we've said each day, the most often repeated phrase in the Bible, so I'm told by a number of sources, I've never endeavored to count them myself, the most oft repeated phrase is fear not. So what we've been talking about is in our ordinary everyday lives, how can we overcome fear? Well, you can start by not worrying about tomorrow. Don't worry. Be happy. Matthew 6:34. Don't worry about tomorrow. Yesterday and tomorrow both clamor for our attention. Yesterday wants us to second guess our decisions and worry if we did the right thing. Now that's wasted energy. As President Truman once said, if you've done the best you can, if you've done what you have to do, there's no use worrying about it because nothing can change it. End quote. And tomorrow can also cause you to miss opportunities. Most people arrive at a different destination in life than what they expected. Ask yourself, is that true of you? Some better, some worse, but different. Focusing on the destination is not necessarily the best idea. Besides, tomorrow may come and it may not. No guarantees. Jesus said, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble, well, it's enough for today. Those are Jesus's words. You got the red letter edition, red letter. Don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today. Kind of like trading, focus on what's in front of you. Someone, a soybean trader yesterday worrying about the WASD today. Well, but he's a swing trader and he's got a huge long position. All right, worrying's still not going to, rather than worry, he could exit that position. If that soybean trader is concerned that the WASD could send the market lower, he can gamble, or he could exit the trade. And today, I guess, would be breathing a big sigh of relief. But in other words, instead of worrying, he took action. Jesus, when he said those words about today's trouble is enough, he was talking to people who were worried about having the basic necessities in life, like food, like clothes, place to lay your head, get out of the rain, get out of the heat, get out of the cold, whatever the case might be. Those of us in America, we won the birthplace lottery. Have you ever thought about what your life would be like if you had been born in Calcutta, India? Or Nairobi, Kenya? Or Kampala, Uganda? Or Mexico City? Most of the people in the world, given the opportunity, I won't say most, many of the people in the world, given the opportunity, would choose to come and live in the U.S. And you and I, it's not because we were tall or clever or ran fast or even bought a ticket. We didn't even buy a ticket. Not even a scratch-off ticket. And yet we won the birthplace lottery. Where else could you have been born that would be better? I'm sure many people have many different answers to that. But as for me, I feel that being born here gave me, not that I took advantage of all the opportunities, but it certainly made the most opportunities available to me. And here in America, if you fall down at this thing called life, there are so many different organizations, groups, associations, government agencies to help you get back on your feet. You know, in places like Africa, those social services and all those, that's a fairy tale. They don't have that. So the people Jesus was talking to when he made that statement, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today. He was speaking not with people who had won the birthplace lottery. Talking to people who perhaps did not know where their next meal was going to come from. They see the storm clouds approaching. They have no roof over their head, nor a pillow to lay their head. This is who he was addressing in Matthew 6:31, 32. When you read the Bible, I just want to encourage you to always just think about it for a moment and put things in context, like this right here. Okay? If he had made this statement to the Pharisees or the Sadducees or some other C's, it would be quite different than saying it to these people who have nothing. In fact, less than nothing, because they don't have the basic necessities of life. Oftentimes they also have no hope that they ever will. And it's one thing to lose it all in the material world, but when you lose your hope for a better way, a better day, a better tomorrow, go talk to somebody. Get help. There's help out there. The only place you really have any power, it's not yesterday, nor is it tomorrow. Not even today. This moment. This moment, you have power. And I'm sure you've had the discussion with, back in high school or in the college days or whenever. Does yesterday even exist? Tomorrow. Is there such a place as tomorrow? I've heard a lot about yesterday, and I've heard a lot about tomorrow. But I'll be doggone, every time the alarm clock goes off, it's today again. Man, I keep living for that tomorrow, and it just never gets here. It's always today. It's always this moment. Right here, right now. Do what you can in the here and now, despite your fear, and you'll have the satisfaction of knowing that you're doing everything within your power to reach your potential. to correct the situation. If you project too far into the future, you'll suffer from the what-ifs syndrome. Your fears will run absolutely wild. Both Winston Churchill and Mark Twain are said to have said this: "I am an old man and have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened." Now we can all take something out of that. I am an old man or woman and have known a great many troubles. Many the day he worried himself sick over something. I don't know. Pick a thing. I'm an old man and have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. Give your past and your future to God. Maybe he can use it, because you can't. Live your life one day at a time, one moment at a time, trusting in him. If you can train yourself to live that way and think that way, well, guess what? You have overcome fear. And moving forward, you can fear not. That's our good word for the day. Fear not, complete with instructions on how to fear not. Be Here Now. There's actually a book. It's sort of a hippy-dippy kind of a book. I read it in my hippie days. I'm sure it's still in print. Be Here Now. Ram Dass. I know a lot of people going, "Oh my God, you're reading Ram Dass." Well, I'm no Ram Dass fan. Like I said, I was in my hippie days. Be Here Now, or Remember, Be Here Now, is a 1971 book on spirituality, yoga, meditation. Yeah, I never did get into the whole yoga thing, or I didn't do any of that. For me, it was just simply the concept behind the book, which was, this moment is the only moment in time that really exists. I don't doubt that you could type in "Be Here Now" space PDF, and you would probably find a copy of it. The internet seems to have quite the book collection. Okay, well, that's an interesting end of the week chart there with all my little scribbles. Okay, guys, Joan, you still got your copy? You know, we've got a big bookshelf in the family room filled with books, and then in the garage we have two big bookshelves filled with books, and then we have some boxes with books because there wasn't any more shelves. So yeah, you collect them over the years. What do you do with them? Do you pass them on? Do you go back and try to read them again? And how many of them did you never really get around to reading? Good question, right? Okay, I hope you all have a great weekend. Now remember, according to CFRN law, you must spend some quality time with your family. Of course, I'll see you in church on Sunday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.